initially, but you have had your full allocation of time. Thank you, Senator Ludlam. Senator Johnston.
Deputy President, I want to agree with everything Senator Ludlam has said, but the coalition has more broad considerations than the matters that he has raised. We will not be supporting his motion. Now, I take no comfort from that. We filed a dissenting report. The ground has moved since then. There have been imperatives brought to my attention, and I have spent many hours reviewing 20 pages of amendments that were lobbed upon my office yesterday morning. Now, the situation is this. Australia is confronted with one of the most incompetent, ignorant governments in our history. This legislation is a disgrace. It is inadequately prepared, it is inadequately thought through, but the fact is that it contains a very important diplomatic tool for Australian defence industry participants, and that is a treaty with the United States. Having bolted that on to the defence export control legislation, the coalition is bound to support it. It is wanted by industry, notwithstanding it is extremely poorly drafted. As I've said, it's ambiguous. The fact is all of those problems which have been highlighted in evidence to the committee by various industry players, the fact is that the ITAR's provisions which have existed for Australian defence industry participants are still available to be used in the event that the provisions are not adequate or are vague and uncertain. Insofar as the second part of the bill is concerned, the defence export control legislation, this is typical of this government, a really sloppy, poor piece of legislation. We are bound to support it for the reasons that I have set out. We will be moving some amendments, I have no doubt. I'm working my way through 20 pages of amendments in the hope that we can see some daylight in having a workable regime in order to comply with the Wassenaar Agreement. The fact is this. The politics of this have been dictated by a government who has cynically and quite stupidly sought to bolt these two pieces of legislation together. There is nothing the opposition can do about this other than highlight to this chamber the fact that this is poor legislation. We will endeavour as best we can, I think on the 29th of October, to repair it as best we can, but I don't hold out much hope. The fact is that the government is incompetent and we have to live with it.
Thank you, Senator